you could make it to our Miniature Mammals Making Maximum Impact. I'm Lisa Zeiner, and I have Niki Vettel with us as our guest handler. Today, why doesn't everybody tell me where you're from? Also, we'd love to know if you have either a guinea pig or a rabbit at home, because we're going to be talking about rabbits and guinea pigs specifically today. Hi, Alexandra. It's nice that you could come from Nevada. We hope to have many people listening today from all around the country. Like I said, we're going to wait for a minute or two and let people log in and get settled in and start to enjoy our broadcast. Nikki right now is being seen. She's got Calvin, her teammate, with her.
There's Calvin.
So I know everybody's going to enjoy that. Hi, Carice, and hi, Lori, and Maura, and we got another Lori, and Heather from Kentucky. She has 3 registered guinea pigs. Wow.
Good piggy lovers.
They are.
We love piggies.
Today, Nikki is a pet partner handler with guinea pigs since 2013. Her profession is a mental health clinician from Massachusetts. She also was featured in our fall 2020 interactions for her work around animal related engagements. I am Lisa Zeiner. I'm a staff person with Pet Partners. I was a handler with a dog and also with a rabbit. So I'm going to be your rabbit resource for today. Nikki, why don't you tell us some more about yourself and your teammates?
Sure. Well, I will say that Pet Partners actually changed my life. It really did, because up until not that long ago, I was actually in a completely different field. I was a producer for PBS, and I happened to learn about the Massachusetts area pet partner group, which is called Paws for People, housed at Tufts Veterinary College. And I went over to volunteer as an evaluator, and I said, oh, I would love to do this, but I don't have a dog, and I'm going to have a guinea pig. And Deb Gibbs said, oh, we would love to have a guinea pig partner, guinea pig human partner. So that was life-changing. So I had Ralphie, who was the first registered pet therapy guinea pig in Massachusetts. And I was volunteering. Deb had, asked me if I wanted to volunteer at an inpatient psychiatric facility. And for people who were actually in the criminal justice system, they were being processed. And I started doing that work. And I realized that I loved doing that work so much that I went back to school for a second master's in counseling psychology. And at the same time, I got I enrolled in the University of Denver program in Humans in Animal Health, the certificate program. So I did those two. And every time I was in grad school and I had to do a paper, I always did a paper or a presentation that related to animal-assisted therapy. So now I am a clinician, and Ralphie passed on. Then I had Stuart and Calvin. And, for those of you who are guinea pig owners, sometimes our piggies don't live as long as we would like them to. But there's Calvin and Stuart. Tufts Medical Center required them to have their own ID badges, which, so you can see, Stuart looked way more therapeutic, I think, than Calvin. And I had to wear the badges. The badges were too big for them. So I had to wear those and my pet partner badges. I remember saying to the people at Tufts, is this because if another guinea pig comes in and says that he's Calvin Vettel, you need to check to make sure? But anyway, that, I just love the work. And I have lots of wonderful, wonderful stories about how very unusual populations have gotten, as we were saying, a huge impact from these little guys. As you know, Lisa, it's not size does not matter in
No, it
this case.
doesn't.
No.
Well, before we go any further, let's welcome some more people. We've got a lot of audience today. Hi, Linda. We've got a couple people who are preparing, it looks like, their rabbits for evaluation. We also have a couple people who are getting ready to prepare to evaluate with some rats. And we have, let's see, Marcy from Burbank. She's had 2 therapy bunnies for over 20 years, a therapy dog and kitties. And we have Wendy, who so wants to do this with her rabbit. That's awesome. We have seen that these animals can make a wonderful connection. I'm sure that Nikki's going to be talking about that as the hour progresses. Hi, Deb. And
Deb is the person who changed my life, so I'm glad she's here.
Yep, she's here to give you support today. That is wonderful. And hi, Connie, and hi, Patty. We've got a few other guinea pig handlers online today, so that's wonderful to support you, and Calvin. Today, like I said, we're talking about mini mammals, pet partners. For anybody who's new to the program, we do register 9 species. I'm going to quickly run down that list, which is cats, birds, rats, guinea pigs, rabbits, pigs, llamas, alpacas, equines, and of course, dogs. Today, we are going to be focusing just on rabbits and guinea pigs. Since I was a handler of a rabbit, my rabbit Pat has passed away. And then, of course, we have Nikki with her guinea pigs. So why don't you start to talk about a little bit of the impact that why a guinea pig has such a wonderful impact, maybe versus a dog?
Yeah, well, first of all, there are people who are afraid of dogs, and the people that I've worked with who are primarily in psychiatric or a psychiatric facility also they feel like they are very vulnerable. And what I've seen is that these folks who themselves feel vulnerable will connect very quickly with a guinea pig, because when we visit with the guinea pig, so here I am, I'm holding Calvin. If you're going to do, and he's already pushed all of his stuff out of his little throne here, so let me rearrange him. You need to have your guinea pig in a carrier. Oh, Calvin, now you're all squished here. Let me get him set up again.
While she's doing that, you can use a carrier or a basket. When I visited with Pat, I used a basket, more of a plastic basket to carry. And Nikki's gone with the little cozy there.
Yeah, and actually, I always have a lap pad, and these guys have to have a leash when they're when you're doing a visit, and also when you're getting evaluated. So I had one guinea pig. It was Ralphie. He was a great guinea pig. It just took 3 adults to put a leash on him. I mean, it was just crazy. But Calvin's fine with it. And what I do, and what you can do with a visit like this, is I will put this little strawberry throne, I call it, and I can put it on somebody's lap if they are interested in having what I call an up close and personal experience with Calvin. I'm holding the leash, and they can feed Calvin. And, having an animal eat from your hands can be an absolutely beautiful experience for a lot of people. Of course, with the dogs, you're not supposed to feed them. These guys will, sort of eat. Calvin loves to be hand fed. So that's one of the things. And I have one story that I was visiting this particular facility, and these 2 men that I was visiting with, they were both had some pretty tough backgrounds, and one of them was it was Calvin, and I was, he had him on his lap, and the other fellow says to him, you're going to be a good dad one day. And I thought, this is an interesting conversation. I want to see where this goes. And the other guy said, "You think?" And the first guy said, "Well, yeah, look at him. Look at it. Look at you and Calvin. Like you know how to hold him, and you're petting him, and he's eating from your hand." And the man who was holding Calvin, just like he was glowing, and he didn't glow very much in his, circumstances. So it's just like an example of how, an interaction like this can be so wonderful for people. Um, and and also I had the guinea pig Stuart, and I see somebody else has a guinea pig named Stuart. We were visiting in a facility, and it was a young guy. This is just one of our favorite stories, and he was interacting with Stuart, and he kept on saying to me, "He's so G, he's so G." So I said, "Oh, you mean like G for guinea pig?" He said, "No, he's gangsta." There is Stuart the gangster guinea pig. I said, "He is?" And he said, "Yeah, he's the total definition of gangster." And I said, "See, I didn't know that." So actually on Stuart's little his little memorial box, it says Stuart the gangster guinea pig. And that was just made everybody smile. And that's the other thing. These guys pretty much will just make most people smile and be happy.
They really do. Let's go to
Yeah.
some of the questions. We did have one. Someone asked why the need for the harness, if it's stressful. Pet Partners does require all of our animals to be either wearing a harness or a collar and have a leash. And the leash
Yeah.
needs to be held in the handler's hand. We do that because if Calvin was to get startled and try to get away, we want to make sure that he doesn't get very far. So we do require that all of our animals, like I said, have a harness and a leash. We do allow for the smaller animals to use, like we talked about earlier, the basket or the like the cozy there pad. I did see that one of them, Marcy, says that she takes her bunny in a basket and decorates the basket for different holidays. So you get two types of entertainment, not only from the animal inside the basket, but the basket, I'm sure, is very pretty as well.
Yes.
We have one. Michelle says that her Stuart thinks he's a human.
Yeah. Well, I hope he's gangsta.
And Marcy says her rabbits don't mind the harness. My rabbit,
Yeah.
when I first started, I had to go through 4 or 5 different kinds of harnesses
Yeah.
before I found the right one for her. She really liked the very thin one. Yes, here comes a picture. This was my Patty. She was originally named Pat Bonatar from the shelter, and we changed it to Pat, and it was Pat, the rabbit. So a lot of people got fun off the pun, but she went for the very thin type of harness. What type of harness does Calvin wear?
Actually, this is a very thin harness, and it's a rabbit harness. And I went through a lot of them because Ralphie just didn't like them at first. And then, if I gave him a nice treat, he was fine. It was just sometimes I think he was an Abyssinian, and maybe it just like tickled him or something like that. But Calvin has no problem with putting his putting his harness on him. Stuart had no issue with it. So I think that but it is one of those things. Not every guinea pig and not every rabbit is going to be into this kind of thing. And so it's really up to you to figure out, if your animal is, likes to do stuff. Oh, there we go. Okay. Here we are. We're now, sometimes Calvin just likes to burrow. So we're going to let him burrow. And, it's interesting because when you're doing a visit and sometimes, Calvin will decide to burrow and people will be like, "Oh, why is he doing that?" And I'll turn it into I'll say, "Well, he knows how to take care of himself. We all should have the same kind of level of self-care as Calvin does, because sometimes he needs to change position or he just wants to do something different." One of the things, I'm wondering if we can bring the quiz up, because I'd like to show this. People will have a lot of questions about rabbits and guinea pigs, right? I mean, they just have a lot of questions. And so I came up with a Are You a Guinea Pig Expert quiz? And maybe we don't have it, I'm not sure.
But
But
that's how you do
the
a virtual visit, right? Is that what you're using for your virtual
I
visits?
I do it no, for in-person
Okay.
visits, everybody gets the quiz, and, like, the first question is, Calvin goes to Applebee's for dinner. He orders A, loaded nachos, B, meatloaf with gravy and mashed potatoes, or C, a leafy green salad with red and green peppers. And that's a way to introduce. Have
While
a
we're waiting. Oh, there she is.
Yeah. And then I have other questions that are, I mean, I made it fun. Guinea pigs were discovered, 5,000 years ago in New Guinea, in Peru, or in Boston, Massachusetts. And, and then a lot of people, of course, will think it's New Guinea. And then we can talk about, I have a question about where the name comes from, which nobody really, really knows. And so it's a fun way to educate people about your piggy, or your rabbit. And actually, I think you can do it with any breed. I think, because a lot of people don't know, they think
Most
they know a lot
definitely.
about dogs, but they might not. So and that way they sort of understand why he's eating lettuce. And we talk a little bit about being a prey animal. um, and that's different also, because these guys aren't, as you know, I don't know, Lisa, if you want to say something about the rabbits.
Well, why don't we try to answer some questions here? We've been getting some as you were chatting. A couple people worried about the leash. Have our animals jumped out or tried to get away? One thing our pet partners teaches us is that we need to practice pets, which is presence, eye contact, touch, and speech. And that means we're going to be really near our animal. But again, the leash is there on the just in case. We are definitely try to always be proactive. I've never had an incident where my bunny tried to jump out of the basket. We had practiced for so long before we did this. You haven't had any kind of an experience like that, have you, Nikki? Where?
Oh gosh, no. And a psychiatric facility can be an unpredictable place sometimes. So there is a rating for, predictable, that kind of thing. And that's just one of the things you have to make sure, that your animal doesn't get startled by loud noises. It is part of the evaluation process that you'll go through with pet partners. But, loud noises, loud voices, or, anything like that. And Calvin, he's just, he's very chill. So
Yeah.
he doesn't mind anything.
Well, we like to hear that. So you have been doing since COVID has happened. Have you been doing in-person visits? Have you
Yeah,
done virtual
no,
visits?
no. I've been doing virtual visits. Actually, as a clinician, I've been doing I'm a group therapist, so I've been doing group therapy via Zoom. And Calvin is on the Zoom calls. It's of course it's not going to be the same as having him on your lap or being able to feed him. But there we are. There's Calvin and I doing a Zoom call. And I've built one of our activities around the topic of trust. So we talk about how you build trust with an animal, and then we move over to what are the qualities that you look for. What do you think trust means, and how do you translate that to developing trustworthy relationships with people? So it's a nice transition, and Calvin's always just kind of fun to look at, aren't you? Yes, he's just yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Well, we've had some
Okay.
questions about how, no, our animals do not, rabbits or guinea pigs do not need to be spayed or neutered. My visits, I usually lasted no longer than an hour. At that point, my rabbit was starting to do her little nesting thing and getting all comfortable and not, she definitely was one to tell me, I'm into this. I want to play, I want to do it. And then when she was done, everybody knew she was done. How does Calvin tell you, or how long do your visits usually go, and how does he tell you he's done?
He basically starts getting antsy. I mean, he will really relax with some people, and he'll go to sleep in this. And I have this little his little brush.
Oh, I think we might have lost Nikki. As we do, I'm going to go ahead and read some of the questions while we're waiting for the connection to come back. Connie wants to know if I decide to get a critter, which is easier, bunny or guinea pig? Do they have to be in pairs? When I had a guinea or a bunny, I only had the one bunny. I did have a guinea pig early on that was not registered. And again, I only had one guinea pig, but I do know that there is advice that you should have two. I'm not an expert on guinea pigs. When I had a rabbit, my rabbit ruled the house. We had 4 dogs and 2 cats, and she was friends with them all, but she told everybody where they needed to be and what they needed to be doing. Well, let's see what other. Yes, Calvin is very cute. Patty wanted to know, did I ever let my rabbit hop on the floor at the facility? No. I visited in a basket. I worked really hard for her to really like her basket. So her toys were in there, and she would always get up on top, with her little hands on the edge and show interest. But pretty much I kept her to the basket because I'm not sure with guinea pigs, but with rabbits, they definitely like to have that feeling of 4 on the floor. And the basket gave her that kind of security feeling. So that was where she was the most comfortable. And it worked out really well when children were reading into her and whatnot, because she had her space. I could either put the basket on their lap or I could put the basket next to them. She always showed great interest in children reading, but they didn't know it's because she just liked to really eat or chew on paper. So she may not have been as interested in what the children were saying as much as she was interested in the paper that they were holding. So that always made her look very, very interactive when they were reading. Let's see if we have some more questions. As far as the vaccination, someone has a question about rabbit vaccinations. We leave all of that up to the veterinarian. They do not have to have rabies, though. That is a requirement of our many other species, but rabbits and guinea pigs do not. All right, Nikki is back.
I am. I'm getting a lot of, wait a minute, a lot of feedback here. And I'm just talking to Alex here about this. Okay. All right. You guys.
Okay, well, you're working on that. Someone wanted to know about strollers. Pet Partners does allow for strollers, but it's not a preferred way for us to have visits, because you're just bringing additional equipment in, and we have issues with infection control. And if you do wish to go that route, that would require an accommodation. Let's see.
You know what? I'm just wondering, so there's really bad feedback, which is loud for Calvin. So I'm going to just put.
All right, looks like we're unfortunately having some technical difficulties.
Let me unmute. I'm trying to unmute.
All right, well, Nikki's working on that. We have had a few questions around potty training. All of our animals do need to be reliably potty trained. That's another reason why the smaller ones will visit for a shorter period of time, so they can have breaks in order to, you can take them out, put them back into their carrier, let them do their business, and then they can come back to the visit. And if anybody has any questions about that, they can use the Contact Us link on the Pet Partners website, and I'll be happy to discuss with them techniques for potty training our smaller, well, guinea pigs and rabbits, since those are the two that I have successfully potty trained. That's right. Deb is making the point that guinea pigs and rabbits do not need to walk on a leash or a harness, and most are carried. Like I said, it's only there for safety. It's only there as a just in case, because Pet Partners, again, is so very proactive. We try to look at every visiting situation, figure out what might occur, what might go wrong, and anticipate it and make sure it doesn't go wrong. That's again why we have the acronym of PETS. We also have one that's YA-YA-BA, which means you are your animal's best advocate. So, you know, as you've seen, Nikki advocates for her guinea pigs when she's working with various clients. It's very important to be close in advocating because, you know, we never know. Once in a while, you may get someone who's just not familiar with the animal. They may treat them a little more rough than they need to be. So it's very vital that we as handlers are constantly advocating for the animal, staying close, and doing a lot of education, like Nikki does with her little quiz, and how you will, you know, you'll tell people how your animal likes to be petted, where they like to be petted. Pat always liked it right on your nose. I always laugh because their nose works so fast. I figured it had to be very, very tired. And it always felt so good to have her nose rubbed because it was always moving. Let's go back. Let's see what else we have here. We have Melissa. I'm a disabled veteran and guinea pigs have really helped me. I would like to offer other vets the same. How would we do that? Use the Contact Us link on the Pet Partners website. If you have a facility where volunteers could visit with you, we can put the opportunity on our website, and maybe we can get some guinea pigs to come and do the visits. Let's see. Well, we have a couple questions for Calvin, but unfortunately, until we can work out the technical difficulties, we won't be able to get an answer from Nikki. They are, I think, some of this conversation is about some various illnesses that these animals can get. Again, we recommend that you work very closely with your veterinarian. Also, as a point of interest, it may be a little more difficult to find a veterinarian if you do have a rabbit or a guinea pig. Not all veterinarians work with that species. I know here, I live in Clark County, Washington, and having a rabbit, I only had one veterinarian who was very well versed in rabbits.
Can you hear me? Something is weird. Sorry.
Okay, well, I'll just keep going.
Yeah, I'm going to try this again.
Oh, there. Sounds like we can hear you now. Nope. Chrissy wanted to know, are there visits that include the animals performing agility and tricks? To the best of my knowledge, no. I hadn't taught my rabbit any tricks. Most people were just fascinated by the fact that a rabbit walked into the room. They weren't really expecting that. Patty had a question. How do handlers know if a rabbit or guinea pig likes people and might be a candidate for therapy work? That's a really good question. I wish we could have, I was going to ask Nikki how she knew that her guinea pigs were the right guinea pigs for this. I have to admit I cheated. I knew a rabbit handler, longtime rabbit handler with Pet Partners, who also was a volunteer at a shelter. And when I told her I really wanted to have a guinea or a rabbit to do this, she kept her eye out. One day I get a phone call and she says, the rabbit for you is here. Come down quick. And I did. And that was Patty. So she had already seen that she was an outgoing type of rabbit, she was very social. She had come from a family, a large family who had been fostering her. She had experience with cats and dogs and children. So we already knew that she had a good socialized background. All we had to do was get her to wear a leash or a leash and a harness and grow accustomed to the basket. Let's see here. As far someone was asking about the valuation for guinea pigs and rabbits. Essentially, our evaluation is the same for all of our animals, but we do have different exercises specific to them. When it comes to rabbits and guinea pigs, one thing that we're going to ask them to do is to go on volunteers' laps. They will go from lap to lap and do quick little visits. We'll also may put them on a table and do some overall handling of them just to see how they respond to that. As Nikki said, we make loud noises, we have different equipment, so we want to gauge how they respond to all of the both visual and auditory distractions that we will offer them. And if they appear to be willingly consenting, despite all the things that we're putting them through the evaluation, then those are going to be the animals that are going to be very successful at doing this type of volunteering. Beth says, start slow, earn their trust, build up from there. That is the best advice possible. With our smaller animals, you can't rush training. Everything like we were talking about earlier with the harnesses. When I first started, the harness was just sitting on the ground. I let her sniff it. I let her check it out. All the different harnesses. That took weeks. And then we started to put them on her for very short periods of times with lots of treats and lots of praise. It was the same way with the basket. Set the basket down, let her smell it, let her get used to it being in the room. And she chose to jump into it. And at that point, that's when we know that it's a go. This is going to work. I'm not sure how Nikki got her guinea pigs to acclimate to the pad, but I'm sure it's probably was a similar situation where she, you just leave these things out, you let them investigate it, you let them smell it, get used to it. These are not animals that you can push. They have to be accepting of everything that we want them to do.
Okay, I think we're back now. Are we back?
I can hear you.
Can you see me?
I can see you. Okay.
All right, we're back. I did hear some of the questions, and I wanted to say something about the vet, but that you absolutely need a good exotic pet for these guys. And I think there are more exotic pet vets now in practice, but for pet partners, you are going to have to get your guinea pig evaluated, a health evaluation, along with your behavior evaluation. So it's important to have a good pet vet, an exotic pet vet for that. Lisa, are you hearing feedback? Because I am.
I'm hearing a little feedback, right?
Okay. I don't know.
Nikki, why don't you, if you can, tell us how you knew that your guinea pigs were the right guinea pigs for this?
How I know when they're stressed. Okay, well, I was a little stressed from the feedback, and he just kind of will try to hide, or he sometimes will like chew around the inside of his cozy here. That's also a sign that he has to pee. So when that happens, I put him back in his carrier. He happens to like to pee in private, so I've learned that. But they also can freeze. They can just, or just look like he's not having a good time.
Yeah.
So you have to get to know your own guinea pig.
It looks like we're getting some good advice. Marcy says if you have anyone come over, have them pet your bunny or your guinea pig so they get used to all other people. Also, like we said, put them in their carriers, whatever you're going to be using, and leave that around so they become accustomed to it.
You know what, Lisa? I actually can't hear you without the feedback. So I'm going to go off again, and I will
Okay.
see what we can do. Maybe
All right. I will keep
folks
answering
can help.
questions. Hopefully get that figured out. Heather has suggested PetSmart and Home Depot. That's what I did. Once Patty became comfortable in her basket, we'd go to PetSmart, Petco, put her basket into the shopping cart and let her check things out. And as she got more comfortable with that, we'd ask customers, if they wanted to pet her. And again, take it slow, very, very slow, and build it up. And then working on socialization is definitely the key with our smaller animals. The more they enjoy hanging out with us, the better the visit's going to be, and the more successful it is, the more successful impact we're going to have with our clients when they see that they have a willingly consenting animal who just wants to cuddle with them and be petted by them and enjoy with them. A couple people have asked how they could connect with other handlers of rabbits or guinea pigs, and I'm assuming other pocket pets like a rat. Please use the Contact Us link on the Pet Partners website. We have many wonderful volunteers who want to share their knowledge and are very willing to get on the phone with you or go with email exchanges, give you tips and tricks. I also encourage everyone, we have a discussion board on the Pet Partners website. If you have questions about your specific species, that's also a great place to talk to other handlers, to find out what they're doing, what works for them, what doesn't work for them. So we encourage you to use our discussion board if you're looking for information as well. Let's see. Someone asked if you could take your animals out in pairs. No, Pet Partners only allows for handlers to take one animal out on a visit at a time. We believe that, again, we need to be advocating for our animal and we need to be close. So your attention would then be divided if you had two animals. And that's why we only allow one animal at a time on a visit. The maximum time for a visit is 2 hours. But as we've said earlier, these are smaller, fragiler animals. My visits never lasted for more than an hour. We have Nikki
You're
back.
back and I can hear you and there's no feedback. So, okay, we're all set again.
Great. Okay. Nikki, how did you pick out these animals and know that your guinea pigs were going to be therapy animals? Or was that just luck of the draw that once you got them, you saw that quality?
Yeah, well, it was interesting because Ralphie, when I got Ralphie from a guy who had been doing guinea pig rescues, and then he was running a very small independent pet store outside of Boston, and he knew that I had had a guinea pig before, and that guinea pig had passed away. So he knew I was on the lookout for a little guinea pig. I actually got Ralphie when he was very young, and so he bonded with me, and he was just, I mean, people will still talk about Ralphie. He just was that kind of animal. Sometimes, I have a rescue named Hermie, and I'm not sure if Hermie is going to work out as a therapy guinea pig. He's very curious. That's a good thing. He's also very rambunctious. Now he's a year old, and he spends all of his time with Calvin, and he prefers to spend his time with Calvin. So, and I've been working with him, but it's okay. And Calvin, he's 4, and actually, I'm watching him very closely to see when we can start going back to doing live visits, if he's going to be as interested as he was before. But I think that one of the things is I really, really suggest that people adopt and that you go to a shelter. We're very lucky to have a guy who we call the guinea pig whisperer at MSPCA Nevins Farm, and Uli Toman. I don't know if Uli's on the call. I know his wife, Nicole, is. And he just really knows the personalities of the guinea pigs. Some of them are born, people just, they get them for their kids, and then the kids realize, oh, I have to clean the cage, and I have to do this, and I have to do that. So they surrender. There are a lot of guinea pigs in animal shelters. And I think if the people there are good and they know the personalities of the guinea pigs, they can kind of tell you about that. And you can spend time with the guinea pig. Just spend time with the guinea pig before you're going to decide to adopt or you're going to buy, whatever you're going to do, and see, is the guinea pig happy to be held? Is the guinea pig interested? You don't want a guinea pig that is so docile. Sometimes that's not really great, if they're just, here we go. How are you doing, pal? So I think adopting is really the way to go.
We did have one question on age. All of our other animals, the bigger animals, have to be a year old at minimum before registered, but our guinea pigs and rabbits only have to be 6 months. But you do have to know the animal for a minimum of 6 months, because we really, that's vital.
Yeah, you got to know what they're interested in and what they like, and all of that. And I did know that somebody asked about volunteering with a bonded pair. And no, you don't ever want, well, let me put it this way. I would volunteer with Calvin and Stuart, but never out of the carrier at the same time. It's just too much. You need to be really aware of how your animal is doing, and having 2 guinea pigs out at the same time and interacting with people is an awful lot. So I could take Calvin out and people could interact with Calvin, and I would put Calvin back and I would take Stuart out. And if Hermie ever gets his act together and decides that this is something he might like, because I don't know, Calvin does it, so Hermie might like it too, then I would volunteer. Sometimes I would bring both of them, and we would alternate. So that's important. That's important to know as well. And you would never have, you couldn't have 2 guinea pigs. Yeah, it would just be, it just wouldn't be fair. You're always looking out for the animal. That's your big, big, big responsibility. And the other thing I wanted to say about these guys, and maybe, I don't know if you covered this already, Lisa, but they're very sensitive to temperatures. So before I ever go anywhere for a visit, I go there first. I'm most concerned about too much heat, because too much heat can kill a guinea pig. And that includes outdoor activities as well. We have something called a picnic here outside of, it's done in a suburb, actually Wellesley, where Wellesley College is. And it's held in the spring, and there've just been days when I wasn't that comfortable bringing one of the pigs out there. There is some shade, but it's still warm. So that's something you really have to be careful about, especially if you're going to volunteer at a nursing home. Nursing homes are kept at a very high temperature.
Yes,
they really are. And, it can get hot. It can get hot for a piggy in a nursing home. So you have to be very careful about that. That's just one of those things.
Rabbits are the same way. Let's see what Patty says. Patty says she has 4 guinea pigs and a rabbit, and other therapy dog handlers want to use my animals as training for desensitizing their dog or cat. She agrees with Chrissy, not letting other handlers do that, as animals are animals and things happen in the blink of an eye. Yes, they do.
Yes.
They'd be better off, as Patty says, they can get a toy rabbit that hops instead for training versus the one thing, Nikki, you didn't get an opportunity. I think we were having some technical issues at that time. How did you socialize your guinea pigs? Did you take them to Petco? Did you take them to Home Depot?
I believe in the power of the cozy, the cozy, the cozy. And I found, let me get this in front of the right camera, that I have a whole bunch of these of different sizes. And I found that if I could get the guinea pig happily into a cozy, and I could, you know, hold the cozy and hold the cozy firmly and keep the guinea pig with me. You know, if they were good with me, they were good with other people. You know, would introduce them to my friends. All my friends have had to meet the guinea pigs, and then let them interact with the guinea pigs, or you know, I knew somebody who was in a rehab facility, so I would go and we would just do a one-on-one in the rehab facility with just, you know, Calvin and him and myself, and see how that, you know, how that went. So, I mean, it is interesting, and you can see if they're getting overwhelmed. Ralphie used to literally jump into my shirt, much to the delight of everybody. No matter what I was wearing, when he had enough, he would jump into my shirt. I'm done. And Stuart would climb into his carrier. You know, he'd be like, "This is cool," and he usually was 45 minutes, and he's like, "I'm out of here." So, you know, again, they have their own sense of when it's too much, when it's just a little bit too much. Um,
Wendy had a good question. She asked about grooming
yes,
before a visit, coat and nails. Rabbits don't like to be fully immersed, so she was used with a wipe, but her nails and whatnot were always clipped and whatnot. What do you go through? What kind of protocol do you go through?
they just get brushed. You know, I mean, they clean themselves, so there's nothing. And I have never given any of my guinea pigs a bath. I mean, there are kids who do nothing but bathe their guinea pigs. You know, you'll meet them and they're like, "God, I gave my guinea pig a bath." They don't need a bath. They do clean themselves. I do have some of those cleaning cloths that you can get at a pet store. Um, Now, they used to just have them for cats and dogs. Now they have them for other animals as well. And what is it? What do you want? And in terms of, you know, just making sure that their nails are clipped, they go for a mani-pedi on a pretty regular basis. Don't you? Aren't you? You're such a handsome man. And he just likes looking at himself, you know. I mean, honestly, he could do this for hours.
Well, he's nice and comfortable in his mom's arms, so it's a
Yeah,
nice,
I
safe
know,
place
I
for
know.
him.
It's very nice and it's very warm. And actually, my cat is sitting right next to me. And I was lucky. I rescued this cat. I think the cat knew that the only way she could stay with me was if she was cool with the guinea pigs, and she's very cool with the guinea pigs. And I see Nicole, actually, who I was talking about, says no bathing, it dries out their skin, which is true for a guinea pig. Yes, it does. Thanks, Nicole. Hi.
Heather has a hairless guinea pig, and she has to
Oh,
worry about the cold, and
yes,
then she
yes.
also has to worry about the hot for her
For
long-haired guinea
long-haired.
pig.
You know, I had a hairless guinea pig for a short period of time. He was a rescue, and unfortunately, he had some health issues. And I wasn't ever going to really visit with him because I was so worried about the temperature changes. And I live in Boston, and even, you know, getting, you know, warming up the car, or when the visit, I was more concerned about when the visit was finished, where I was going to leave the guinea pigs if I went to warm up the car in order to keep that little guy warm. So yeah, you know, that's a special thing. And I'm curious because, you know, they look like little hippopotamuses. I mean, I think they're adorable, and some people go like, "Oh," you know, but they're very cute.
Uh,
Um,
Lynn wanted to know how many visits a week would one guinea pig do?
well, I have only done I only did one visit a week. However, the visits I did when I was visiting in the psychiatric facility were on 3 different floors. So the visits were 20 minutes each on each floor, but they were 3 different environments. And I felt that that was, you know, that was enough. Um, oh, I'm gonna no. Let me correct myself. I also visited another psychiatric facility, and that was just a very different, much quieter situation. So I could do the facility where I do the 3 floors, maybe I would do that on a weekend. I used to do Sunday visits. And then Thursday, I would go to the other facility where it was much quieter. I wouldn't do more than 2 a week, honestly. It's a lot.
It is a lot. I only visited for once a week,
Yeah.
and it really fits your schedule. Pet Partners, the policy is no more than 2 hours per day. We do not set a limit on how many days a team can go out and visit, but if your animals were like mine, after a visit, they come home and they're resting.
Oh
They're
yeah,
tired.
they're tired. They're tired. They're asleep. I always said it's very hard being adorable, for 45 minutes straight. And it's a lot of work to make people smile for 45 minutes. Yeah, and I have to say that I have not visited with kids. I think that when you're visiting with kids and a guinea pig, you have to that's even a little bit, more. Oh, here we have a treat, so that's always fun to eat. Yeah, I know. It's so funny, but people just love to watch guinea pigs eat, and they love to feed them, don't they? Are we making you self-conscious? I'm sorry. Okay.
Yes, and animal grooming itself, everybody goes ooh and ah when it's a guinea pig or a rabbit. If a dog scratches, nobody cares.
I know,
But boy,
I know.
if a rabbit or a guinea pig does it, we're just all in love.
And depending on the population, I do explain the eating their own poop. I mean, Calvin doesn't generally do that in front of people, so I didn't really ever have to go into it. Kids like that a lot, because it's a thing, but yeah. I mean, I try, yeah, I just try to I like people to feel like they've really learned about guinea pigs when we're done with the visit, and that they will respect them. These are not disposable animals, I mean, they're just not. So, oh, thank you for bringing this up. All right. I am a huge, huge, huge fan of the Pet Partners trading cards, or as I like to call this, Calvin's baseball card. I have stories. I just did a group last Sunday, and there was a gentleman in the group, and these are people who have substance abuse, and many of them are homeless. And he was in a group I did a couple of years ago when we were doing live groups, and and he met Calvin. So he's back in the group, and we're doing the virtual visit. And I said, "Hi, it's good to see you. You're looking good." And he said, "Look what I still have." And he opens his wallet and he takes out Calvin's trading card. And I cannot tell you how many people will say, "Oh yeah, I still have that card." When we do stress relief events at the colleges, we do a lot of that as part of our Pause for People group. And I know Calvin and Stuart and Ralphie have been on many a dorm fridge. They were like, "Oh yeah, I want the card. I want the card." So I'm just a huge fan of the Pet Partners trading cards. I know that it's expensive, but it's so worth it. It really is a memento of a visit. And with the virtual visits these days, you could actually send cards to the people that you visited with virtually, and then they would have something tangible to remember the visit. So yeah, I'm a big fan. And I'll just one last story about this. When I was working at a inpatient psychiatric facility, there was a young woman, and she was having a really, really tough time of it. And she loved when I would bring Calvin in, and she had Calvin's card. And then she left the facility, and I met her a couple of months later, and she was on the streets again in Boston, but she saw me and she scurried over, and all of her belongings in the whole world were in this bag that she had. And she said, "I have to show you what I have. I have to show you." And she digs around this bag, and she has her Alcoholics, the big book, the AA book, and Calvin's card. And she said, I look at this every morning and it makes me happy and it makes me smile. So
That's so very, very
yeah.
sweet. Well, we are getting close to our hour. Patty pointed out too, another thing that Pet Partners does is we do make a bookmark. So if you are reading with children, that's another thing that you can leave with the children is a bookmark. Before we wrap up, Nikki, why don't you tell us how you knew that Calvin was ready for his evaluation? That was one of the questions that we had. How did you know they were ready?
Well, I put him in his little cozy here, and I looked at him and I walked away, not far away, but I walked some steps away, and I looked at him and I said, do you want to stay in there? And he was fine. He stayed inside. He didn't need to get out. He felt comfortable. He could see me. And I thought, okay, he's good now. He's good to go. Because that's part of the evaluation is that you have to put your guinea pig on 3 different laps and you step away, holding the leash, but you step away and they need to feel like they're good in there, that they don't need to run out or scramble out. So that's the scoop. I'm awfully sorry that I didn't realize that if I'd put in my ear pods a little bit earlier, we probably would have had a little more time together. But I know Lisa was telling you all the cool stuff about rabbits and all that. So, and here's Calvin, and Calvin's just going to say, well, he's eating and his mouth is full, but
Well, we did get lots of information, and we all got to share Calvin today, and that's he's just so adorable.
Yes, he is.
I like their little hands. I mean, their little hands are so cute.
Yes, I know. He is. So all the while, Hermie has been watching from their side, and the cat has been sleeping. Cat could care less about any of this stuff. She likes to be around them, but she doesn't have any issue, like trying to get to them. They just like to hang out together. It's kind of their, oh my goodness. Okay. All right.
Okay, well, we are coming to the end of the hour. Again, if anybody has any questions, use the contact us link on the Pet Partners website, and we will definitely get back to you. Nikki, have you ever been on the online discussion board? If anybody had any questions, could you jump in there and answer any questions?
Absolutely, I would be delighted. I'm all about educating people about guinea pigs.
Well, that's wonderful. We can tell, and I think they're great too.
Yeah.
So we definitely want to see more smaller pets get registered with Pet Partners. Let's give dogs a run for their money.
Yeah.
It's the challenge of the day. How many guinea pigs and rabbits can we get registered with Pet Partners in 2021? Hopefully we can double the registrations that we have with them, and that would be wonderful.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for attending today. That is the end of our broadcast, and we appreciate you viewing us and all your wonderful questions. Thank you so much, and thank you, Nikki.
Great, and love to all the piggies out there.
Yes, definitely, and the rabbits. All righty. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.